Hello, 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 and welcome to today's episode of Her Version. This podcast is dedicated to sharing stories of struggle to triumph, a platform that allows individuals to tell their truth in order to inspire and uplift others. For those of you that are new to this podcast and like content like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button, follow, like, and share. I am your host, Sabrina Victoria. Let's jump right in. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Her Version. The Her Version platform is built on storytelling and the understanding that many times our greatest learning experiences come from listening to other people's stories. Today, I'm speaking with an amazing woman named LiYing Lim. LiYing is the founder of When Still Waters Speak and is a transformation mentor and divine energy alchemist. LiYing is here today to share her thoughts on the mind, body, and spirit conditioning that is happening all around us, even without us even realizing it. Her journey is one of a suppressed voice, body image issues, and perfectionism. With a career in the fashion industry, she is no stranger to the bombarding thoughts and images that surround the female culture of beauty. She joins us today to share her real thoughts on living on purpose and embracing our authentic power. Welcome, lady. How are you?
Really, really good. How are you, my love?
I am doing fantastic. I so appreciate you. So, what was your journey with that? Was that you were looking in the mirror not satisfied, or was it an overall thing? What did your thought process look like with that?
Oh, wow. I mean, while you were talking about that, I was kind of, I kind of relate on several stages that you mentioned. Funny thing is, I don't remember looking at myself in the mirror that way because I didn't even want to look at myself in the mirror. I always felt like, if I could, I would just kind of just dress in the dark, which is not really exactly true, obviously, because I have to put on makeup and, kind of like, like I said, I took pictures of myself in outfits. But I think my brain was just so good at kind of separating out things, like the outfit itself was just one thing, but I didn't really see myself there, if it makes
Wow.
any sense.
Yeah.
So I was really disassociated from myself completely, and I think that was really my coping mechanism, because I there were lots of things going on in my life that I didn't really want to look at the time. Just to give you some context, I went to university in Manchester here in England, and it was a lifelong dream that I achieved, but I worked really hard to do that. I left Malaysia, which is where I'm from, to get there, working really, really hard to get the results I needed to get there. And then when I got there, what happened was that the economic recession kind of crashed, like everything just crashed. And when I graduated, I didn't get a job here, so I had to leave to go back to Malaysia. And that was one of the things that was like almost like a crush to my myself. And because it was everything to me, it really, really felt like something I didn't want to look at, I don't want to face. And going through a lot of things like a breakup and just trying to figure out what the hell I'm doing with my life, they were just things I didn't want to see of myself. And I think the body was something that I found myself starting to control when I was in a relationship with a man at the time. And and I think it was like I saw this pattern after a while. Obviously at the time I didn't, but I realized that when I was in a relationship, I wanted to look a certain way for him, even though it wasn't asked of me. But I had this upbringing or maybe conditioning or programming that I needed to be a certain wave like look, so that he doesn't have any, like, I become impenetrable, does that make sense? So that he doesn't have anything to criticize of me.
Got it.
That was like my defense mode. That's what I remember. And kind of talking to you right now about it, um I know that it was really about avoiding. Like for me, I just wanted to avoid any kind of conflict or confrontation. I hated confrontation. I remember at that time. Um, and so, in every way, I was just trying to avoid disaster through my body, because then nobody will be able to criticize me. Nobody's able to say that I look like I need to lose weight, or, because that crushed me when I was much younger, before this whole anorexia began, raised in a Chinese family. And my mom has always been really critical about weight. I remember growing up being told, like, oh, you have like a wobbly tummy or like a flabby tummy, you have to lose weight. And, you know, um, it's something that we cannot control. And I want to share this because this might trigger some people, but I'm just going to put it out there. It's like, we can't control what anyone says. This is the fact. Someone can say that you're fat, even though you're to you feel healthy, right? What I found is that when I forgave myself and I forgave my mom, I actually was able to set myself free. And this is all on me. Like, how do I see it? How do I take it? And I'm just going to be very, very honest. Like, until today, she still doesn't understand what I went through in my eating disorder. She still thinks that it's a phase that I went through when I was younger. And so recently I got married, and obviously, with a wedding, you have to try on dresses and things like that. She would still say things like, I think you have to lose a couple of weight, like, maybe a couple of pounds, you look better. She would still say things like that. But the difference is I'm not triggered anymore. I just laugh it off. I just know that it's part of her upbringing. It's a part of her conditioning. And I feel so much love for her. You know what I mean? It's like, I I don't I don't get like, oh yeah, she's so right. I'm gonna do that, which was me back in the day when I was anorexic. So it's so important because we just cannot sidestep triggers. We have to learn how to transform
Mhm.
the trigger into an activation that will allow us to transcend and
Yeah.
become really bigger than this.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it.
Even hearing you say that is super triggering to me. Because you were kind of like, this might trigger people. It actually did trigger me. But this is good though. So it, I feel that if my mother, oh my gosh, were to say something like that, you're at a healthy spot, because that would have something even innocent like that would have set me off.
Mm,
Um, so I have two stories. I
mm,
was just recently, so I broke my, first of all, COVID 2020, right? So we're all sitting. Then I broke my leg, like literally snapped it
mm,
in half, yeah, October 2020. So I gained quite a bit of weight. I'm just now on my journey of getting my health back and walking again, and eating healthier and not sitting
mm,
all day and moving around. It took a long time for my foot to heal and not be throbbing with pain. So probably about 8 months ago, I went out to dinner with myself, my fiance, my son, three,
mm,
and two friends, or two, like a couple, boyfriend, girlfriend. And we got sat in a booth. We went out to eat. We got sat in a booth. And I'm not like, I'm maybe like, I don't know, 40 pounds overweight. I didn't like blow up. So we're sitting down. My son is huge. Like, he works out. He's 6'2". He's skinny, but like he's muscular. He's like a big guy. So we sit down, and me and my fiance and my son are kind of like sitting like this in the booth, but I'm fine, whatever. And across the couple, the woman, the girl, goes, "Hey, Elijah, that's my son. Why don't you sit on our side? Because I'm smaller."
mm.
And I took that as, and I actually said something out loud. I was like, it's two and two. So like there's two people over there and two people over here. So it's the same amount of people. He's also going to be squished over there. And I actually asked her, I'm like, are you saying that I'm fat?
Mm.
I was offended immediately. And she didn't even respond. Like
Did she?
she just kind of like, but I was annoyed for days after that. For days after that. And that's just with some chick. Like I don't even really know her. And she probably didn't even mean it like that. It probably, she is small. Like she is a small person.
Mm.
Shorter and smaller. Some people are just built that way. So anyway, so that got to me, but probably I don't even remember. Shortly after my not anorexic, my eating journey, I had gained probably a healthy amount of weight, maybe like 10 pounds or something, and was like filling out my clothes nicely and was getting curves and boobs and all of that stuff. This was pre-COVID.
Mm.
I went up to go see my mom, and I was probably the heaviest I had been in years because I was like a size 2 for so long. And at this
Mm.
point, I went to go visit my mom. I was maybe like a healthy size 6, 8, like healthy. But I'm like taller, you know, I'm not taller, I'm 5'5", but for a woman, you know, like I'm a good, and to be a size 6'8" at 5'5" is good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyways, we were at Walmart and my mom goes, hey, Sabra, she calls me Sabra. I just want to let you know your father last night made a comment about your body. And I was like, okay. She's like, don't like take this the wrong way or anything, but he said that you are looking awesome. And he said that your womanly curves are, oh, I'm gonna get emotional. But I literally started crying in Walmart. Like I hugged her and started crying and really recognized at that moment, and obviously again right now, how messed up my mind is when it comes to how my body looks.
Mm.
Um, so um, it's so
Mm.
revealing, I guess I want to say, that
Mm.
you were able to actually hear somewhat um not the most flattering, you know, comments from your mother, and especially when you're picking out your wedding dress and
Yeah.
being able to kind of allow that to flush off your back is really coming a long ways. That I think a lot of individuals that deal with, males and females, that deal
Mm.
with body image issues need to recognize that you can, if you work on that part, you
Mm.
can go from one extreme, which is your story, to the entirely other extreme of your wedding dress shopping. And this is being said to you. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah.
Like a huge accomplishment that you are showing here when it comes to the amount of work you've put into your mental and emotional health. I just think that that's absolutely phenomenal.
Oh, Sabrina, I mean, what you're telling me is so beautiful because this is 100% what I share with my clients as well. And that's the core of what we do in the Siren Goddess immersion. And I want you to really, once we get off the podcast, you don't have to do it here right now, and let me know how it goes, is that really bring those memories in, like the part of the story about, sitting in the booth and feeling really triggered by that woman, and really drop into your body. Just drop into your body and feel where that activates you. Like, where is the charge? Where is the tension? Where do you feel the pain, even sometimes for some people? And really, really see that. Like, just give that a big hug and a squeeze and really bring that in. Breathe deep into your belly. And it's almost like you're hugging this baby and you're bringing it into the core of your body and breathe it into your belly, and then exhaling it all the way out of your legs and your feet into Mother Earth. Because what I'm telling you here is a really basic way of starting to kind of shift you into a way that's how I live now, where we actually feel the emotion rather than kind of saying, okay, that happened and then she didn't say anything and that's it. Because if you can still feel the charge today, then that feeling, that energetic dissonance, as I call it, it's still there.
I
And
mean,
that
obviously, you got me all like while I'm telling
trigger,
you,
right?
all emotional. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So
obviously it is still there.
that is so beautiful because like I call myself an alchemist for a good reason, because I'm here to really alchemize that pain into purpose. And I think there's a bigger story here where you can really tap in when you're allowing yourself to feel it, but not to mentally attach emotions to it, but rather to feel it in your body. That is the truly authentic way of feeling and moving our emotions, because emotions are just energy in motion. And the reason why I can sit here and kind of laughingly tell you about what my mom said about my wedding dress is because, like, in the moment when she said that, was I triggered? Like, I'll be like, oh yeah, totally. I totally would admit that, yes, at the time I was like, how could she say that? And but I kind of really tuned myself and taught myself to quickly feel it in my body in that way that I just taught you. And it just hits the right vibration where I'm able to give myself so much more love, and it transmutes in a way in your body that I can't even put into words. You just have to try that and see how that lands for you. Um, Obviously, the work is much bigger than that, but that is a really good way of beginning to feel, really feel it in your body and working with your body, because what's going to happen is you're going to activate the energetic circuits in your body that are asking you to look at right now with the incidents that are happening. And when they awake, you will actually be given another entryway to a bigger soul mission. And that is what it means to really live on purpose, because now you're like, oh, I get why that happened to me now, you know?
So why do you think certain things like, my past entails single momhood, getting abandoned by my entire family, my entire church because I was pregnant,
Mm,
abusive relationship. Why is it that I can tell those stories,
mm,
being raped, um, which used to bring out emotion,
yes.
and tell them now as if it's just a story that I'm reading out of a book. But this that I just brought up, which I haven't even thought about or talked about
Mm,
at all, is all of a sudden bringing up emotion. Like, is it emotion per story? Like when I think of it, I think like I have my mental and emotional health intact. Like I'm
mm-hmm,
doing good.
mm-hmm,
But this whole situation right here would prove otherwise.
mm.
So is it connected per story and not necessarily like mentally? What's your thoughts on that?
Oh, I love that question. So juicy. So, what we're working with is you just kind of put your, how do I put it into context? Let's say, I'll just go into how I usually speak with my clients. Okay. So, I always want to bring your attention to the fact that you're so much more than what you are here right now as a physical being. You are energy. Everything is made of energy. Your lungs are made of energy in a different vibrational form, and your skin, your eye, everything, your thought form is also energy. So when we are working together, for example, you're saying, okay, you brought this to me about what happened with your body, right? I'm going to say, all right, let's go in and really tap into your subconscious dissonance. The subconscious dissonance is where we have had things perhaps occur in our past that we haven't quite faced up to yet, that we kind of just sideswept it or buried it. And we thought that that's okay, all good. It's not going to happen anymore. But it's still kind of quietly kind of triggering you here and there in a way that feels really uncomfortable. um, that is why I believe that, I truly believe that you going through everything that you went through gave you this bigger purpose where you're actually serving women in this way that you're doing now. And what you are experiencing with the story that you told me about your body is perhaps something that you haven't quite given enough space and time to really feel into yet. And anger sometimes is a very, quick fix kind of way. It's like, yeah, I was so angry about that, and then you tell everyone like, oh, I was over this, everything's so like, and then you think that's done, right? That's what we usually do. But have we really given time and space just to allow that to flare up enough for ourselves to look at? Because I don't know about you, Sabrina, but I was definitely raised in a way that felt like a woman being angry is a very wrong thing.
Yeah.
And I think perhaps it's even occurred for you where, when you tell someone things like, oh, that woman said that my body was like this and this, and then people would be like, I had responses like that before where they go like, maybe she had a point, and then you're like, oh shit, I don't want to tell anyone about that anymore now, because then I'll get more, and then it just keeps accumulating, right? Accumulates to a point where you just keep getting, you kind of keep side sweeping it, you don't want to look at it, and then you just, whoa, it just bursts out into this huge thing. And it could become another eating disorder. I'm not saying it is, but it could become another eating disorder because it will show up physically eventually. We're talking about energy. We're talking about something subtle that keeps building up. And when we see physical forms of it, like an illness, mental illness, whether it's physical illness, that means that the energy is really building up to a really big giant ball of energy block that we need to transmute as fast as we can.